All right. When I was a kid, whenever I did something bad enough, my father would take a nail and hammer it into the frame of the door leading down to our basement. He would leave it there until I apologized to him or whoever I had wronged, and then he would pull it out and give it to me. The first few times he did this, I would take the nail down to the creek in the woods behind our house and drop it in, but eventually I started collecting them in a glass jar I kept in my closet. Sometimes late at night or when my parents left me alone, I would take the jar out, dump the nails on my bed, and run my fingers through them, creating patterns and feeling their cold weight on my skin. As my collection grew, I began to fantasize about fashioning them into a suit of armor, melting still more and forging them into a spear, which I would then wield against my father, who had scales and breathed fire. In reality, my father did not breathe fire, nor did he have scales, wings, talons, or any other draconic features. He worked for 35 years as a teller at the DMV, issuing license plates and taking ID pictures and making just enough money to come home and care for my mother, who towards the end would watch television 14 hours a day. She and I live together in an apartment in Huntington now. Twice a week, I go down to the Save-A-Lot for the same list of items. 6 family-sized bags of potato chips, classic sour cream and onion, and barbecue, 5 large stuffed crust frozen pepperoni pizzas, 4 2-liter bottles of Diet Cola, 3 tubs of Neapolitan ice cream, 2 bags frozen cheese and 1 jar of tomato sauce, 2 pounds ground beef and 2 taco kits, 2 bags apple cinnamon rice cakes. In the 9 years that I've been doing this, the list has changed only twice. Once when honey maple rice cakes were discontinued, and once after a countywide recall on ground beef. Both times she wouldn't speak to me for nearly a week. This is section 2. I don't know why I said that, said the groom. It was late April and I was in Rupert, West Virginia. Joshua Craddock, the groom, invited me to attend his wedding as a groomsman. I didn't know any of the other groomsmen, and until he invited me, I hadn't spoken to Joshua in almost 15 years. It's not cold feet, he continued, his forearms resting heavily on his knees. It's my entire life. I don't even know why I'm saying all this. It's not like it will change anything. I pushed my cuff back to look at my watch. The ceremony was scheduled to start in 11 minutes. Kevin Deal, the best man, stands up. That's bullshit, he says, pointing a finger at Joshua's wingtips as though he were firing a warhead. It's cold feet, cold fucking feet. You want to be here, just don't think about it. Caleb Thrush, another groomsman, shrugged. Kevin turned to him. You want to say something? Caleb shook his head. It's fine, Kev, said Joshua. He sat back and ran his hand through his hair. You're right. I love Claire. I do. I made a decision to be here, and I have to remember that. A peal of laughter seeped down through the ceiling, followed by a few seconds of clapping. Kevin turned and walked to the window and put his hands on his hips. After a few minutes, he turned around and said, Look, you picked me to be your best man. Not because Claire is my sister, but because you trust me. You know me. We've talked about all this. You knew it would come to this. You put me in charge of getting you through this, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I yawned. Excuse me, he said, walking up to me and standing over me. Who the fuck are you? I sat back and put my hands up. Where the fuck did you even come from? Joshua leaned forward. Kev. I smiled and shrugged. Look, maybe nothing, he said. All right, maybe nothing. I mean, have you and Josh even talked once in the last, 20 years? 15 fucking years. I see him every day, every single day. Look, I get that you were best buds in middle school or whatever, but it's fine, Kev, said Joshua, standing up and walking to Kevin and putting his hands on his shoulders. You're right, I did pick you. And you're right, it is just cold feet. In fact, why don't you go upstairs and tell Pastor Mark when we're ready, that we're ready when he is? Kevin nodded, took a deep breath, and exited up the stairs without looking at Caleb or me. Joshua turned to us. Sorry, he said, it's not his fault. Sometimes he just gets a little, It's fine, I said, and I looked over at Caleb, who had balled his fists and closed his eyes. And that's the end of section 1.